The Cleveland Browns are in full-blown quarterback turmoil. The locker room is tense. Coaches are scrambling to maintain control. Fans are buzzing. And in the middle of it all, rising above the noise, is Shedeur Sanders, cool as ever, surgically dissecting first-team defenses in practice, while the media spins in circles trying to understand how the fifth-round pick became the biggest story of the NFL preseason. And then, Deion Sanders speaks. Coach Prime, father, mentor, cultural lightning rod. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Whatever title you attach to his name, when Deion talks, the world listens. And what he just said about his son didn't just echo through the league. It shook the very foundation of the Browns' quarterback plans. It starts with a moment, a rare, raw, unfiltered glimpse into bond between a father and son navigating the ruthless machine that is professional football. At training camp, Deion Sanders finally addresses the elephant in the room. The speculation, the scrutiny, the whispers that Shedeur only made it this far because of who his dad is. And let's just say he's had enough. Deion doesn't just defend Shedeur. He breaks him down. He doesn't list stats. He doesn't brag about arm strength or TDs. He talks about mindset, about grit, about what it took for his son to not only enter the league, but do it while carrying the weight of a legendary last name and zero room for error. He told me, "Dad, don't show up. I don't want them thinking I need you." That right there, that's when I knew. He's a man now. Let that sink in. In a league where parental involvement is usually confined to awkward draft night hugs, Shedeur pushed his father away, not because of ego, not because of entitlement, but because he wanted to prove to everyone, including himself, that he didn't need the Sanders name as a crutch. He wanted to stand alone. And now, he's doing just that. Deion's coaching philosophy: earn it or sit. This wasn't some teary-eyed father hyping up his kid. This was Coach Prime laying down facts. There were days I benched him, not because he was bad, but because he needed to know nothing comes easy, not even for my son. That's the energy right there. In an NFL landscape flooded with inflated egos and helicopter management, Deion Sanders went the other direction. He stripped it down, made Shedeur earn every single snap at Jackson State, at Colorado, and now in the league. There was no fast track. No gold-plated QB1 throne waiting for him in Cleveland. Just film, sweat, discipline, and quiet domination. Deion built Shedeur not to be a celebrity QB. He built him to be a leader, one who knows what it feels like to be overlooked, doubted, criticized, and keeps showing up. And now, that preparation is paying off in spades. The Browns owner's statement, that lit the match. So what prompted Deion to speak now? It came after a veiled but telling comment from Browns owner Jimmy Haslam during a routine media scrum. Haslam was asked about the quarterback room and said, "We have a plan, and we're going to stick to it. We drafted guys for a reason." That one line set off a storm. Fans took it as a dismissal. Analysts read between the lines. And internally, it was seen as an indirect way of saying Shedeur wasn't supposed to be here. That's when Deion stepped in. Because now it wasn't just about football. It was about legacy, about the idea that a player could do everything right, outperform expectations, win over the team, and still be treated like an outsider just because he wasn't part of the original plan. That hit different. Deion made it clear. Shedeur isn't waiting for your permission to be great. He's already doing it. Shedeur's mentality. Pressure is a standard. If you've been watching camp, you know Shedeur isn't just checking boxes. He's rewriting the evaluation process. Veteran defenders are getting picked apart. Media clips show timing throws. Pre-snap reads, leadership in the huddle. And it's not loud. It's not cocky. It's just professional. One teammate reportedly said, "He plays like he's got 5 years under his belt already." That's not just talent. That's preparation. That's Deion Sanders' influence without the flash. That's what happens when you raise a quarterback to study like a walk-on, play like a vet, and carry himself like a captain. This is what separates Shedeur from every other QB on the Browns' depth chart right now. He's not just competing. He's commanding. Analysts flip the narrative. And now, the national narrative is starting to flip. Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, even former quarterbacks like RJ have started saying the quiet part out loud. Shedeur might not have been drafted like a starter, but he's playing like one. The numbers don't lie. The tape doesn't lie. The body language of the offense when Shedeur is under center definitely doesn't lie. He's got the trust of his teammates, the respect of the vets. And now, even the skeptics are running out of excuses. This is no longer about development. This is about results. And Shedeur is serving them up daily. Deion's message to critics. What really sets this whole saga apart is the tone Deion struck when addressing the backlash Shedeur has faced. Not anger, not defensiveness, just truth. Y'all don't know how many nights he sat up watching tape while everyone else was out. How many mornings he was in the weight room before I even got there. You don't see the sacrifices, the hours, the grind. But I do. And now, so does the league. That's the key to this entire journey. We're watching a quarterback succeed. Not because of hype, but because of the work no one wanted to believe he was doing. Shedeur isn't just a talented rookie with a famous dad. He's the most prepared quarterback in Browns camp right now. And the fact that it took 8 practices and a wave of analyst support just to make the coaching staff acknowledge him, that says more about the system than it does about him. The Browns' next move is everything. Here's where it gets tricky. Do the Browns stick to their original plan and roll with Gabriel or veteran? Or do they finally admit what the team, the fans, and even the media already knows? That Shedeur Sanders is ready. Because if they don't start him now, they're not just risking losses. They're risking a fracture in the locker room, in the fan base, and in the franchise's credibility. They'll be sending a message that performance doesn't matter. That reps are reserved for the plan guys. That meritocracy doesn't apply when your last name is Sanders and you weren't supposed to be this good. And Deion, he won't need to say anything else. He'll just smile, nod, and watch his son prove every last doubter wrong on someone else's field. This moment isn't just about a father defending his son. It's about a coach recognizing a player, a leader acknowledging another leader, a man who's seen greatness and knows when it's real. Deion Sanders didn't have to speak. He chose to, because he knows the game. He's lived the pressure. And he's raised a quarterback who doesn't just carry a famous name. He honors it. So when Shedeur walks onto that field, leading his offense, poised, precise, don't call it hype. Call it legacy fulfilled. Because the question is no longer if he'll lead the Browns. It's whether the Browns are smart enough to let him. Now it's your turn. Should Shedeur start week 1? Is Coach Prime right to speak out? Because when Deion Sanders, Coach Prime himself, speaks from the heart, the NFL has to listen. It's not just a headline. It's a signal. And when that signal is directed at the Cleveland Browns, it becomes more than just a feel-good dad moment. It becomes a challenge to the system. A challenge to every assumption that Shedeur Sanders is just riding on fame. A challenge to every lazy narrative that says fifth-rounders need to wait their turn. A challenge to every coach who believes sticking to the script matters more than rewriting the ending. And now, after Deion's emotional reveal about his son's hunger, independence, and complete separation of father and coach, the heat's turned up. Let's keep going. A father's love, a coach's code. The power of what Deion said wasn't the delivery. It was in the duality. You could hear the pride in his voice, but it was balanced by something deeper, restraint. He wasn't just speaking as a father gushing over his son. He was speaking as a coach who has held his son to the fire more than anyone else. And that's what makes this so real. You think I go easy on him? Ask him how many times I pulled him off the field for missing a read. That's what separates this story from every other father-son dynamic the league has ever seen. There's no spoon-feeding, no shortcuts. If anything, Shedeur has had to work twice as hard, simply to silence the idea that he's been gifted anything. Deion's belief in his son is not based on blood. It's based on proof. And that's something the Browns coaching staff needs to reckon with. Because while they're busy guarding the reps of higher drafted players, the most prepared quarterback in camp is the one who had to fight his way into the conversation. Shedeur's quiet dominance isn't going away. Let's not forget what got us here. Performance. Camp after camp, drill after drill, rep after rep. Shedeur has been outshining the guys above him on the depth chart without a peep of complaint or self-promotion. He didn't ask for headlines. He didn't post workout montages with motivational captions. He just showed up, ran the offense, hit his reads, led the huddle, and won the locker room. By the end of week 1, he wasn't that fifth-round kid. He was a guy, and as day 9 looms, the staff is running out of reasons to keep pretending like he's not the future. You can tell a story with numbers. You can tell a story with film. But the most powerful story in football is always this. How does the team respond when a guy walks into the huddle? And with Shedeur, it's different. The line holds a little longer. The receivers cut a little sharper. The energy lifts. That's not just quarterback play. That's leadership. The Browns' crisis of identity. Here's the ugly truth. The Browns aren't just dealing with a quarterback dilemma. They're staring down an identity crisis. They've built a reputation on being process-driven, analytic, and patient, which sounds great until a kid like Shedeur blows all of that out of the water with real-time results. This isn't a spreadsheet problem. This is a gut check problem. Because if you stick to the plan while the better player sits, what message are you sending? That talent doesn't matter? That hard work can be ignored if it's not in the right draft slot? That the locker room's opinion is worth less than the front office's ego? This is a franchise that's made more QB mistakes than most fans can count. And for once, they've got it right in front of them. But they have to be brave enough to admit that their plan got outpaced by a player. Shedeur's team-first mentality is fueling the fire. Let's talk about what Shedeur hasn't done. He hasn't given an ego-fueled interview demanding the starting job. He hasn't liked cryptic tweets or shaded his teammates. He hasn't tried to play the media game, despite every camera and mic being ready to push a controversy. Why? Because Shedeur doesn't care about headlines. He cares about earning it. He's showing the Browns and the world that he's not just ready physically, he's ready mentally. The maturity? Off the charts. The discipline? Veteran level. He knew what he was walking into. A franchise that didn't plan on him being this good, this fast. And still, he said, "Don't show up, Dad. I need to do this myself." That line says everything. This isn't about being Deion's son. It's about being Shedeur Sanders, starting quarterback on his own terms. Browns fans are waking up. Let's not underestimate what this means to Cleveland. This fan base has endured every form of quarterback heartbreak you can imagine. Draft busts, injuries, scandals, overpaid journeymen. Even when there was hope, it was fragile. But now, you can feel the shift in the air. You go on message boards, call-in shows, social media. The conversation isn't about who should start anymore. It's about how long can the Browns afford to ignore Shedeur Sanders. Fans don't need to see another 6 to 11 season with potential. They want action. They want someone who plays like he believes every down matters. Shedeur plays with that urgency. Like someone who knows reps are precious, not promised. That's who you build a team around. And the fans? They already know it. What's next? The preseason proving ground. Everything Deion said is powerful. But let's not forget, words are just words until the pads come on and the lights go up. Luckily for Shedeur, he's built for those lights. The Browns' first preseason game is looming, and it's going to be the moment where this story jumps from camp buzz to national conversation. Shedeur's first series? Every throw will be dissected, every read, every scramble, every audible. And if he balls out the way he's been doing in practice, the Browns will have no choice left. Because once the tape is public, the excuse machine breaks down. There will be no, "he's not ready," defense. There will only be 2 columns. White heavy check mark, did you pick the best quarterback? Cross mark, or did you stick to the plan out of fear? The pressure is no longer on Shedeur. It's on the coaching staff. Final word. This isn't a Cinderella story. It's a blueprint. Let's be crystal clear about what this moment is. This is not a feel-good underdog narrative. This isn't about defying the odds just for the sake of a nice headline. This is about what actual quarterback development should look like. A young player who shows up prepared, earns the trust of the locker room, outperforms his competition, leads without being told to, handles criticism without lashing out, lets his play speak. That's not a Cinderella story. That's a franchise quarterback. And whether the Browns admit it or not, they've already found him. So here's the final question. Will Cleveland have the guts to follow the talent? Or will they become another team that let politics bury potential? Deion already knows the answer. He's watched his son grow into the role most fathers only dream of seeing. Now it's time for the Browns to grow into the moment, too. If the last few days of Browns training camp have felt like a boiling pot with the lid barely hanging on, then Deion Sanders' heartfelt speech about Shedeur just cranked the heat to max. What started as a quiet camp competition is now a full-blown identity crisis. Not just for Cleveland Browns, but for the way the NFL looks at legacy, merit, and what it truly means to earn your shot. Because Shedeur isn't just playing quarterback. He's challenging a system that's terrified of rewriting its own depth chart. Legacy versus loyalty. The Browns' silent tug-of-war. The Browns organization is stuck between two gravitational forces, and both are pulling hard. On one side, they've got legacy and hierarchy. The system. The structure. The plan. Dillon Gabriel was drafted in the 3rd round. He was the project. He fits the timeline, the development chart, the nice clean vision the front office had when the draft ended. On the other side, Shedeur Sanders, smashing every expectation, earning every rep, and rewriting every assumption. But here's the problem. The NFL isn't built for quarterbacks like Shedeur to succeed early, unless they were drafted to do it. There's a quiet loyalty to draft order in most front offices. A 3rd rounder gets the benefit of the doubt. A 5th rounder? He has to dominate just to get noticed. Shedeur is not just dominating. He's flipping the depth chart upside down. And while the locker room seems ready for it, and the fans are already there, the people in suits upstairs, they're sweating. Because admitting Shedeur's earned the job would also mean admitting that the system might have been wrong. And some people just don't take that kind of L very well. Deion Sanders didn't just offend. He declared war on bias. Let's not sugarcoat it. When Deion Sanders spoke about Shedeur, it wasn't just a message of support. It was a direct challenge to the way football insiders talk about his son. You think he's here because of me? Watch the film. He earned this. All of it. That wasn't just a proud dad talking. That was a head coach calling out every exec, every reporter, every whisper campaign that's tried to reduce Shedeur's success to his last name. Deion wasn't asking for favors. He was demanding respect. And that's the twist. Most people expected Deion to try and pull strings for his son. Instead, he cut the strings on purpose. No privilege, no soft landing, no favors, just film, tape, and performance. So when people still question why Shedeur is getting first-team looks, it's not just annoying, it's offensive. Because anyone really paying attention would know he's not getting them because of Deion. He's getting them in spite of Deion's distance. The locker room sees what the cameras don't. You can't fake leadership. Not in a locker room full of grown men with mortgages, contracts, and careers on the line. And right now, the guys on the field, they've already made up their minds. They've seen Shedeur take accountability in film sessions. They've watched him take hits in practice and bounce back with composure. They've seen him talk to receivers between plays, not after meetings. They've felt the difference when he's in the huddle. And trust me, players know. They know when a QB has it. They know when someone's special. They also know when someone's overhyped. And by day 9 of training camp, they weren't looking at Shedeur like a rookie anymore. They were looking at him like the guy. So now imagine being a player on that roster, seeing the clear-cut best quarterback not get the reps he's earned because of plans or draft status. That doesn't just frustrate guys. It breaks trust. Pressure builds when the tape goes public. Preseason is a great equalizer. No more private reps. No more carefully curated press releases. Just live bullets. And the Browns can't hide behind practice field excuses anymore. Because the moment Shedeur takes the field in a preseason game and puts together even one drive that ends in a touchdown, this debate explodes. If he dices up a second-team defense while Gabriel flounders with the starters, good luck keeping a straight face in press conferences. If the fans start chanting his name, good luck keeping the media off Stefanski's back. If the national shows start leading with Shedeur clips instead of rookies drafted 2 rounds higher, game over. The coaching staff can't PR spin their way out of a real performance on game day. The stadium doesn't lie. Neither does the scoreboard. And if Shedeur backs up his training camp success with real game poise, the Browns are going to find themselves with only one move left to make. Why waiting could be the biggest mistake. Let's entertain the idea that Cleveland decides to wait. They let Shedeur sit and learn. They go with Gabriel or a veteran to ease into the season. Here's what happens. The team starts slow. Maybe they go 2-3. Gabriel struggles. The offense stagnates. The energy flattens. Now you're forced to throw Shedeur in mid-season, under pressure behind a battered line, and with fans already in panic mode. That's not development. That's damage control. And more importantly, it's avoidable. Right now, Shedeur is playing loose, confident, and free. The locker room is riding with him. The playbook is clicking. The moment hasn't swallowed him. If the Browns wait too long, they risk losing this window. And in the NFL, windows don't just open and wait for you. They slam shut. The stakes are bigger than just a roster spot. This isn't just about QB2 or QB1. This is about the soul of the franchise. Cleveland has been trying for decades to find their quarterback. Every time they think they've got the guy, something breaks. The media turns. The locker room loses hope. The fan base braces for another rebuild. But Shedeur Sanders? He's given them something different. Hope with teeth. Not just a good story. A good quarterback. And in a city that's been burned too many times by preseason hype. It's ironic that the most legit shot they've had in years comes from someone they never expected. A fifth-round pick with first-round confidence. A rookie with the swagger of a 10-year vet. A Sanders, but not the one anyone expected to win over the NFL. Final word. No more excuses. At some point, the Browns will have to stop protecting the process and start honoring the performance. And when that time comes, no speech, no quote, no spin will save them if they make the wrong choice. Deion Sanders said it best without needing to shout. He told me, "Let me do this my way." And I let him. And now, he's proving everyone wrong. There's nothing left to wait for. Shedeur Sanders is ready. Not in theory. Not in hype. In execution. If the Browns want to win, they'll start the guy who already is. Let us know your thoughts below. Should Shedeur start in Week 1? Is Deion right to speak up now? Is Cleveland finally ready for a quarterback who plays with purpose instead of pedigree? Hit that subscribe, drop your takes, and stay locked in. Because this saga, it's just getting started.